My friend says I'm a little OCD because I have to have all of my things neat and organized. A boy in my class shares, I need to have my stuff perfectly symmetrical. I'm so OCD. Hearing these statements from my friends, classmates, and even TV shows have been a common theme for much of my life. Sometimes it makes me want to just scream and walk away. Why, you ask? Well, OCD for me and many others isn't really about just those desires. You have probably heard of Obsessive Compulsive Disorder, or OCD. But when it comes to OCD, there are many misconceptions about what it's like to really have the disorder. At this point, you may be wondering what OCD is and how to know if you possibly have it or not. Which leads me into what I'm here to talk to you about: the signs and symptoms of OCD. This includes intrusive thoughts and how to know if it's OCD or not, as well as obsessions and compulsions, what they are and how to recognize them. So, how is OCD different from those common misconceptions? Well, it begins with an intrusive thought. An intrusive thought is a thought that pops into your head unwillingly that causes discomfort, fear, or any negative emotion. Everyone gets intrusive thoughts. It's unavoidable. However, most people disregard the unwanted thought and continue going about their day. This isn't the case with OCD. OCD causes a person to be infatuated with a displeasing thought. For example, I'm contaminated because I touched that doorknob. For someone without OCD, this thought would pass them by and not cause the worry and obsessive behavior that someone with OCD would feel. OCD turns that simple, unwanted thought into a realistic and terrifying thought. The idea doesn't go away. It appears again and again until they feel forced to say, wash their hands over and over. The sneaky thing about intrusive thoughts is that they aren't always phrases. An intrusive thought can appear as an unpleasant image, sensation, memory, or urges. To further explain, an unwanted image can appear differently for everyone. When I was younger, a video I'd seen of a woman nearly drowning replayed in my mind. But for others, it could be a traumatic experience or a scary scene from a movie. An intrusive sensation could present itself as perhaps a catch in your throat that makes you feel like you can't swallow, or any other sensation that makes you worry about what it might have meant. Unwanted ideas are those what-if questions. What if I go to sleep and never wake up? Unpleasant memories are when OCD plants itself in something that actually occurred, so it seems like a real problem. Lastly, intrusive urges. For example, the urge to jump off a building. You know you're not going to do it, but the OCD makes you feel like you would, and that's scary. It's important to know the different ways an intrusive thought can appear in your mind, so if you have one, you know exactly what it is and can determine if it's OCD or not. Then hopefully begin to battle back against it. To understand OCD, we have to go a little more in depth than intrusive thoughts, which leads me into my next point: obsessions and compulsions. Let's begin with what an obsession is. Obsessions are unwanted thoughts or fears that persistently intrude on your mind and cause irrational anxiety. To further explain this, an obsession comes with an intrusive thought. If you have OCD, that thought consistently replays in your mind and makes it difficult and scary to push the thought out of your mind. The idea and obsessions causes unnecessary fear and anxiety when 99% of the time that thought doesn't even make sense or isn't true. The extreme terror and panic that comes with obsessions and intrusive thoughts make a person with OCD feel the need to complete a compulsion. Compulsions are the rituals, whether thoughts or actions, that are the response to fight those unwanted, frightening obsessions. Let's say you get a sudden fear that you may have hit someone with your car while driving home. So you go outside and check the road. There's no one there, so you go back inside, but then you get the feeling that you might have missed something. So you go back outside and check again and again and again. This is a perfect example of obsessions and compulsions. You're obsessing over the fact that you might have hit someone, and you feel the urge to continue checking the road. Sometimes with OCD, it can be hard to differentiate between what's OCD and what isn't. If you're feeling like you might be experiencing symptoms of OCD, ask yourself this: If I didn't do this task right now, would I feel scared or nervous? Would I feel compelled to go back and complete this task? If your answer is yes, then it may be helpful to talk to a trusted adult so they can help connect you to professional resources. In the meantime, you can work on trying to fight the compulsions. It can be hard, but I know you can do it. Some people say they don't feel the compulsion part of OCD. They just feel obsessions. This is called pure obsessional OCD. This OCD is completely internal. If you feel like you might have that, it's completely normal, and this talk is for you as well. There are many different types of OCD. There's contamination, harm, and symmetry obsessions, just to name a few. You could have only one type of OCD, or you could have many different types. OCD is different for every person. If you don't have OCD, it's hard to understand what it feels like to really have the disorder. But you can still be supportive and aware of the difficulties and challenges people with OCD face. You never know. The person sitting next to you could have OCD. As preteens and teenagers, we are trying to be more independent and handle things on our own, which is great. But no matter what age you are, it's never weak or embarrassing to ask for help. It could be the best thing for you. I personally know how hard it can be to admit what you're feeling and deal with the stigmas around mental illness, which makes it even harder to ask for help. It's important for you to find your support group just like I did, whether it be a parent or guardian, a friend, or a trusted adult. Someone you can depend on and that will help you through this difficult time. I believe in you. You are not alone.